Your boy, Easy to Cut. Back on another video. Now, I know we're going to be looking at the display, the differences between the PS5 and Xbox Series X. But this roughly video is today, what do you find to be the most worth it system? Now, guys, keep in mind that this system is going to be having his pros and cons between both of them. And I'm going to tell you the difference between the both of them and what could be preference for you as a gamer of what you might personally go for in terms of your gaming experience. Now, guys, this game is based. So the Xbox Series X roughly costs about $500, same as the PS5 that costly runs at $500. Those two games, those two type of systems, both have a value price of a price that most consoles will have. Now, if you guys all don't have the news recently that the PS5 Pro is been confirmed and it has been in development in the works. That won't be launching sometime between late 2024. So that won't be to like later on next year of like around winter to fall, which is most likely going to be winter release date of holiday 2024. Um, but these are just the cons right now. Now, one thing I'm definitely going to mention to you guys right now is that for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, is that these are the CPU, the GPU, the memory bandwidth, the optical drive, the internal storage, and the expandable storages. And we're going to get into it real quick. So, obviously, if you guys don't know, if you look at the CPU and the GPU on the video right now, you can actually see that the Xbox actually has a way better GPU and honestly a slightly bit more better of the terms of a CPU power, right? And of course the Xbox Series S is the most powerful console ever made, but in stats wise it's not showing that. Even though that the Xbox has a 12 teraflops with a 52 CU and at a 1.825 gigahertz with a custom RDNA 2, right? And the PlayStation has a GPU of a 10.28 teraflops, 36 CUs at a 2.23 gigahertz variable frequency. And looking at these two, the Xbox does outperform the PlayStation 5 in GPU, right? And GPU is very good for like your gaming and high demand gaming stuff like that. And with that, seeing the stats here on the screenshot right here, the Xbox for most games they offer less frames. Now, what I say by that is most games have been coming out for the Xbox that are like coming out like Dead Space Remake, RE4, um, upcoming titles like that support high refresh rate, which of course the Xbox Series X and the PS5 both support VRR, ALM, which is auto low latency mode, in 120 hertz. And with games offering that much frames, the Xbox has been slacking on frame rate. Now, if you guys don't see the comparison videos on YouTube, Resident Evil 4 Prime Example Remake is getting, with ray tracing, it's averaging about 48 to like 60 range around there with frame rate. Now, the Xbox Series X can't keep somewhere in those 68 FPS. It's more in between where it goes between to 45 to like at least 54 minimum. And it can't push it with it being higher specs. It's not doing it, but the PS5 with lower specs is pushing it, guys. Now, I'm not saying nothing, but like I said, if you prefer either both consoles, beyond me. Right now, of course, the memory bandwidth is actually way more impressive on the Xbox Series X, statistically, but it's not showing much about it. If you feel me, um, that's that. They both support optical drive, memory, still good. Let's see, internal storage. One thing I would argue that Xbox does have a better over than the PS5 is definitely the internal storage. Xbox offers a 1 terabyte, and then with the software update day one, it's gonna be like about like 800 and something 800. I think like 830 something gigabytes left over. While with the PS5, even though you get 825 gigabytes of space with an SSD space, it's basically only going to run 667 gigabytes because it uses about like 200 something gigs for like your software update. Now, for the expandable storage, one thing that the Xbox is slacking right now is lowering the prices for their SSD because they use an expansion card. Not like it's like an expansion SSD card that basically they use at the back of the Xbox that you plug, it's like a drive that you plug in, and it's like an extra memory. Well, PlayStation, you don't really need to do all that. They just have in when you take off the plates, you could like unscrew and it's like SSD slot where you could install a Western Digital SSD, a Samsung Pro SSD. Like you could install any SSD you want and price range. Like right now, you could get yourself a 2 terabyte with a heatsink for SSD for like 180. Right now with Western Digital, they even PlayStation has their own license with Western Digital. They have the I have is the Western Digital PS5 license for PS5 and PC that runs the SSD slot, which is actually very good. I still use it, and it's 2 terabytes, and it's very good for gaming. I have a lot of games installed and a lot of games I play, and it just helps me a lot with my gaming experience. Right, and I can't wait when the PS5 Pro comes out. I could be able to transfer that over to the PS5 Pro, and PS5 Pro most likely will have even more storage on, based off of internal storage or just main memory storage. Um, Now let's go specifically to the gameplay. Now, gameplays, one thing that I feel like the PlayStation has over than the Xbox is basically haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. It's basically something new to the system that basically it has, um, of course, it has basically like haptic feedback that you can control where you can feel like if you're running in a game, you feel the motion in your video game moving with you. So what I mean by that is, let's say if you're playing like, let's say if I'm playing like God of War or any PS5 game that's out right now that supports the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. With that being said, the gameplay feels very like a realistic moment. If I'm shooting, if I'm running, you feel the haptic on the controller, the vibration of it, feeling like a realistic movement. And if I'm shooting a gun, the triggers will have like a trigger stop where it will actually feel like if you're really gonna click a trigger to actually click down, like it feels like a realistic movement. If you want any game, a game that perfectly fits that example is Astro Playroom. You really can see how the controller really plays out, and to me, it's actually very impressive of how the controller plays out for the gamers, of what it gives you now and stuff like that. I definitely like how they remodeled the controller. It's kind of like the DualSense 4 controller from the PlayStation 4, but they just made it more better for the hands. If you guys don't know that the Xbox was more people's favorite because it had like the better size controller, but the PS4 controller was more smaller. It felt like it kind of when you felt in your when you look at your hands, it kind of felt crampy a little bit for me. I have a little big hand, so now when the PS5 came out, it has way better controls, and I really like the controls. I hope they keep it like this, and just throughout time they just make it better like this, but just add it because this right here is very comfortable and very enjoyable to play. When I play the Xbox and the PlayStation, it's not a difference. When I used to play Xbox and PS4, you could definitely feel the size difference between controllers. One thing I would say though is that one thing that PlayStation has a pro over than the Xbox is that the PlayStation has an in-core battery, which means that you don't have to put in batteries because you guys don't know batteries is expensive to just keep buying oil consistently. Um, it has an in-core battery that could last for a good while, for a good lifespan of the controller. In due time, slowly the battery disintegrates, but it is a very good battery for the controller. Keep that in mind. With Xbox they use batteries still. You could buy a rechargeable pack, but if you spend like $70 on an extra controller and you have to pay like another additional $20 just to get a rechargeable pack, you're paying about like $90 for a controller just to get like that upgrade. But once you buy it, it's something it's really good. Another thing I could talk about is the interface of the PlayStation interface in between Xbox. The PlayStation interface kind of feels new. It feels like they slowly started progressing the interface even more, using more capabilities. Like now that we just had recently had a console update where basically, um, we have it shows our progression and our how many hours we played on the video game. But Xbox says it kind of still feels the same plane. Like if basically it feels like the same. It feels like the same, like interface that I've been having since I had like my Xbox. Like I had like my Xbox One X in a way, and that's been some time. You feel me? That's since like 2017, and I felt like they did like minor changes for it. That's one thing I definitely would say. But other than that, like I said, it to me, I just feel like PlayStation has more of a newer interface from changing from the PS4 interface to the PS5. One thing I definitely would say though is that I really do love how the games is using a lot of the firmware and stuff like that. Now another talk about is the games. Now with PlayStation has been releasing ton like in the beginning of launch, they didn't come out with so many exclusive games, but they came out with a good decent amount of it. And ever since then, since the launch of the PlayStation 5, they've been releasing absolute bangers. Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 7, Last of Us Part 1 remake. You have upcoming Marvel Spider-Man 2. You have Miles Morales. You have what do you call it? They came out with a Marvel Spider-Man remastered for the PS5. God of War Ragnarok. Then you have Gran Turismo 7, and then then you're gonna be having furthermore video games coming out like Final Fantasy 16 that I really absolutely cannot wait for, and it's really great video game that's coming out, guys. Like absolutely banger video games that I just say that they're coming out with more. Like right now we have upcoming games like we have Stellar Blade that's coming out soon for the PS5 exclusively. We have like tons of more titles that's coming. You have Switchback VR for the VR game that's gonna be exclusively. Um, you have a lot of games that is coming to the PS5 exclusively that it's gonna be coming out sometime next year and this year. Like you have, of course, you even have like I said, you have Stellar Blade, and then you have furthermore games coming out. From you have Silent Hill 2 that's coming up. So, and then yeah, you have of course Forsaken for like a time exclusive for the PlayStation. So it is kind of like winning in a gamble the console, and at least what me I can say is that what Xbox hasn't released any bangers since honestly after since like Halo, because the rest of the exclusives was kind of trash. You had Crossfire X that basically came out. A lot of people was hyping up because of the CGI trailers that they were showing and shit like that. And when the game came out, the rating on the game was like a 3.6. Like it actually had a lot of backlash on the game. Right? A lot of people find that very boring. It's supposed to be similar to like kind of like a CS:GO vibe, but more with the gun related. And a lot of people is very disappointed with that. Then you have games like, of course, Starfield that is very anticipated for the Xbox gamers that they wanted to come out, but looking at the trailers and looking at more gameplay we're seeing, it looking like they really are rushing and budgeting this game. Now, the reason I'm saying this is, guys, I'm not trying to bash Xbox with this, but PlayStation Studios is a whole nother level when it comes to games, especially exclusives. Because look at Horizon, it's an exclusive, and the exclusive itself looks absolutely amazing. The game looks phenomenal. Visuals look stunning. It looks realistic, like a realistic visual. Xbox visuals, they feel real, but not so real. You feel me? Like they feel like they use their Xbox Game Studios, but it's not like if they're really trying to put in work. Because remember, an exclusive game is basically a game that's using your hardware of your system, like the full power hardware of your system, just to keep those games to come out. That's the point of those games. Like Final, if y'all haven't recently watched Final Fantasy 16, that trailer is absolutely just amazing. That gameplay was like using the Final Fantasy 16 like game details. And to me, that is absolutely impressive, guys. It's so dope because the visuals was amazing. Even the creator himself said the visuals is gonna look stunning. And I can't wait for Death Stranding 2, another exclusive title game that's on, of course, the PlayStation 5 exclusively, and later on come to PC. That is gonna be a very fun game to play too. But the visuals in these games are absolutely phenomenal. Um, Besides all those stuff, like I said, is that in terms of the system, they both have their similarities. But for right now, I feel like what's a very disappointment for me with Xbox right now that I used to like playing on the Xbox is just that there's not enough games. The hardware for it showing specifically on stats, the hardware on like the image right here, and then when you play on the console and looking at people compare the videos of like frame rate differences or what's the differences between the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, most people on Twitter who are like experts who do the comparison videos, they keep saying that the PlayStation 5 is actually more better for most games are coming out better on the PlayStation 5 than the Xbox Series X. But then the Xbox Series X has more power and it has all of that, but in reality, you're not giving me the power I want. You feel me? Now, like I said, one thing Xbox has that's really dope is the quick resume, where basically you can just load in the game and you switch to another title real quick, and then when it'll save that progress, and you automatically get like a fast resume as like speed to load in. These are phenomenally great features, but to me, it's like if I'm paying for $500 for a console, as a consumer, as a person who buys the console, right? And you're telling me that you have great stats of what the console does, but when I want to play the video games and see what the power of the video games show on the console, you're not really as a gamer, as a my perspective, you're not giving me that power, right? You can have the best play. It's just there's no power involvement into it. Like I feel like PlayStation, Xbox is not they are comparable, but when it comes to gaming now, is like, is it really crazy a difference with now? Because like with me, this whole year, PlayStation Xbox was above PlayStation because PlayStation had a chip shortage, and now that PlayStation officially got like their consoles fully running, where you could buy a PlayStation anywhere, Best Buy, GameStop, Target, PlayStation Direct, any area that has consoles relatable to have, you could buy it, and the PlayStation's been outselling the consoles. Now, one thing I told my friend that I told one of my buddies before is that if the PS5 Pro comes out to be looking to have way better specs than the Xbox Series X, and most likely Xbox is gonna clack back with the Xbox Pro or whatever they're gonna come out with the newer model of like a more enhancement Xbox. If the Xbox has better specs than the PS5 Pro, right, and the PS5 Pro still outbeats the Xbox by a lot in frames, then I'm sorry, but Xbox has a serious problem because they're gonna have to address that issue, guys. Because there's no way you tell me it's sickly and stats on showing the images that Xbox has its power, but when you play the video games, guys, it is different. The PlayStation actually has smoother frame rate, better overall visuals than the games on the X than the Xbox. And you're telling me that it runs smoother. I don't get how that works. I don't get I don't know what Xbox is doing. Besides all the hate and the little rant on them, overall, both consoles are great. Both consoles, I have no hate on either or. If you want to play on the Xbox Series X, go by all means. If you want to play on a PS5, go by all means. Right? There's no of a little judgment of where you're gonna go, what you want to play. At the end of the day, it's your money, it's your choice of what you want to play, and that is what you. I can't say, oh, don't get this because it's trash. Go buy this. No, I can't tell you what to do with your money because that's your personal money, guys. You decide what you personally want. Right? I've been having my Xbox. I've been having my PlayStation 5 since launch, and I've been having the Xbox a year later. And comparing the two, even though I got the PlayStation first, and as I gave Xbox a whole year to give me something, to this day in 2023, right? I feel like PlayStation is just 5 is just better than the Xbox Series X. Not because of what the games that exclusive, it's just overall statistically of what the console's been giving me. Way better games, way better stats overall in my video games. The games I play, third party games like Call of Duty, Dead by Daylight, and all the other title games with frame rate just that runs like Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 8, Dead Space, fucking GTA, stuff like that. Like I feel like most games run smoother on the PlayStation 5 with better gaming experience than with the Xbox is more about having the power but not showing me the gaming experience specifically with the quality you're giving me. Remember, the Xbox has so much power that by now the Xbox should be potentially running games at like 1800p or like 1620p at a 120 hertz option, right? But they're not doing that because they don't want to do that, and I feel like that's going on. But besides all that, we have one more claim, and that's gonna be the end of the video for you guys. Now, between the two, Xbox has a Game Pass, and of course, PlayStation has their new PlayStation catalog, which is called PlayStation Extra, Premium, and whatever, which you could consider to call it the PlayStation Game Pass in a way. You could consider it, right? So with Xbox Game Pass, they have all their exclusive title games day one. PlayStation they released, and when the PlayStation title came out, they released games that came out during 2020 to 2021 in a way to the Game Pass, I would say, but they didn't do it. It was more like 2020 to like 2019 games that what came with the Game Pass. So I will go right now just for you guys right now while I'm on the PlayStation right now just to tell you guys. So I'm gonna go down to the area where basically where Xbox actually when PlayStation started. So when PlayStation started their Game Pass, guys, in terms of games, the games that they started off with is I'm gonna tell you right now. They started off with like Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man. Um, there was more games here. I would yeah at the time it was RDR2 in here at the time, and then like that. Now as PlayStation been upgrading, they added the Final Fantasy 7 remake. They do time added. Oh yeah, they added Strain here. They have like they have most of a lot of anime games in here. Honestly, they have the of course Ubisoft Plus in this stuff like that. They have Devil May Cry 5 and stuff like that for special edition on here. And then they recently just added Horizon Forbidden West, which is one of PlayStation's exclusive games. So yeah, they've been slowly adding games. Most likely next month we'll probably be getting more of a another PlayStation 5. Oh yeah, later on this month, Uncharted comes out this month in the 21st, which is like next week Tuesday coming up, and that's gonna be where they're gonna be adding Uncharted 5 and stuff like that, and Ghostwire Tokyo and stuff like that. So that's actually a great news, right? Now, Xbox side of the Game Pass, they have, of course, all their old titles like backwards compatibility titles, all the Gears of War games on there. They have all the Forza games on there. They have all the Halo games on there, and most of the old titles. Now, in terms of now Xbox, one thing Xbox does add day one is like summer new titles. Like they recently added the Plague Tale Requiem. They added that day one. They added recently Black Myth Wulong. Um, no, my fault. They added Wulong Dynasty game to Xbox recently. Um, they add exclusive games day one. Now, my biggest complaint about Xbox doing that, now people will hate me for saying this, but it's the truth. In terms of statistically sales for a business, PlayStation's actually gonna win on this one because on Xbox side, you release games day one. Now, recently they had a chart difference between Wulong Dynasty game sales between the Xbox and PlayStation. Wulong Dynasty on the PlayStation had about a 96% PlayStation game sales, right, on the PlayStation, and they had a lot of money coming in for the PlayStation. Now on the Xbox, their sale number was only 4%. 4%. Because most of the people bought Game Pass. Now I understand Game Pass is a great subscription to get so many title games every month, or you pay every year for it. But in reality, why is the company releasing games day one if you're not letting the companies make money? That's actually ruining companies to make money, guys. You have to understand this. Games when a game comes out, a company makes profit off of their sales of the games. So right now, that's like if the most highly anticipated game of all time right now, Grand Theft Auto 6. If Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out on the PlayStation, and they come out on the Xbox, but the Xbox makes a deal for it to come out day one on Xbox, Rockstar is gonna be upset because you know why? Rockstar's gonna lose so much money because most of their games is gonna go on sale more for the PlayStation, but they're not getting that extra profit that's gonna be on the Xbox. You're gonna lose a lot of profit. I'll be like, oh, why would I rather get on the PlayStation if I can just get on the Xbox for free? They're gonna lose a lot of profit, and they don't want that, right? Now that's like the biggest claim about the Activision Blizzard deal. Kyle wants to bring Call of Duty to Game Pass like day one offerability, which could be a chance if the deal goes through. And like furthermore, games like World of Warcraft, Overwatch content, or like any games that Activision or Blizzard comes out with, they could bring day one to Game Pass PC or Game Pass on console. And doing that will ruin game sales. Now, like I said, like if Call of Duty comes right now, most of the sales are on PlayStation either way on Call of Duty. But if Call of Duty comes out on Xbox, Activision is not gonna make the same amount, and that's in terms of a business money price wise. Is that if you're not letting the game make its profit before adding it to Game Pass, then you're gonna actually ruin it. That's like right now, right? PlayStation, they have their own exclusive titles. Like they just recently brought in Horizon, right? Horizon actually made its money. So by now, if they want to, they already added Horizon. They said, fuck it, we're gonna bring in this game. It's made its money. Let's just involve it now, and because it made its money, right? Same for Final Fantasy VII remake. The game came out, the game made its money, and then when the new subscription came out, they eventually brought the game to Game Pass. They brought the game to the Game Pass membership. Now, recently they brought out Final Fantasy VII remake, the PS4 version. Recently, I think before this came out, like 5 more months before this membership came out for PlayStation. But they rebrought it back to the Game Pass with a PS5 version, right? And that was what everybody was so happy about, right? Now, to me, between the comparisons, they both are a price difference. Like what PlayStation Premium with a PlayStation side with the premium catalog, um, the difference is really kind of shown. If you really want to see like what's really the benefits, um, with PlayStation Premium, you basically could get yourself play. You could have game trials, like, and the game trials are actually pretty solid games to play at trials. You have here like God of War Ragnarok, Midnight Suns. You have Manager 2022. You have God of the Knights, Plague Tale Requiem, Last of Us Part One, Skywalker Saga, Elite, Sniper Elite 5, Ghostwire Tokyo, NBA 2K, Dying Light, and furthermore games. Right, like they're letting you have game trials of the video game, so at least before you play it, you could like test it out. You don't have to pay for it just to play it to try it. Like at least there's a trial for the video for the premium subscription. Now, other than that, you have of course the cloud streaming, which you need cloud streaming to pay for like games and stuff like that. Just to have as like a like, let's say if you're not on the console and you don't want to play your game, you could just cloud stream your video games. Now another thing that they have is like PlayStation backwards compatibility games. You could stream backwards compatibility games like they gave out some remaster games like for the PS4 version copies. You go you could stream like PS3 games, and you play, and they kind of like enhance the PSP, PlayStation, and the PlayStation 2 games as well, right? They enhance these games for us, so we can actually have like some type of enjoyment. Now we have Ubisoft Plus and all that, but like I said, at the end of the day, guys, it's more of a preference and how much are you really gonna be going for. Like I said, with me, like I said, guys, me as a gamer, I recommend the best statistically money value made for like the companies and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know your comparisons of like the comparison between the PlayStation and Xbox Series X. And this is my highly honest opinion about both consoles and my honest opinion on this review of like what I prefer. But at the end of the day, like I said before, it's your money, it's your choice, what you want to buy, and what the consumer wants to buy, right? None of us can force anybody of what you want to buy, and just enjoy your gaming experience. That's all that matters. Me, I'm not a toxic gamer. I want everybody to enjoy their gaming experience on any system, PlayStation or Xbox or even PC. It is an honest opinion what you want to play your system on. Whatever you have fun, time, laugh, have a great time with your friends. That's what matters the most, guys. Keep that in mind. Gaming is not all about being rageful, being competitive. It's all about having a great time with the video game, especially when you're in a time where you're sad or depressed, and you really need some type of some type of little enjoyment for yourself while you're just you don't want to feel depressed, stuff like that. Gaming will definitely help you, especially like if you love story games. But like I said, guys, have a great blessed day. Thank you for watching this video. If you guys please like, comment, subscribe. Furthermore, tell me your honest opinion about how you feel about the PlayStation consoles or the Xbox Series X, and your honest, brutal opinion, like how you personally feel about it on your personal review. I would love to hear you guys in the comments talk about it with me, and give me a brief idea, like, of how you personally feel about this. Like, how do you personally feel about the system of what they've done, like that? Like, how would you personally